Kenyatta, it is so great to have you on to talk a little bit about your course that you're going to be
Thank you.
coming into and giving at the Academy. Um, I want you to know that the Academy has been very, very selective in the number of people that we have. Rather than trying to have lots of people teaching lots of very different courses, we wanted to get the best of the best.
Mhm.
And over the last year working with you, I would just feel very comfortable with recommending you to anyone that needs coaching and mentoring
Thank you.
because you put it all together with a fantastic amount of energy. So, could you talk a little bit about the course that you're going to be offering?
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Dr. Weiner. I appreciate you and honored to be a part of your academy and being able to offer services through there. But one of the courses that I'll be offering is basically a communications course. We have a framework called Quadratic Communication, and we base everything on a person's natural behavior and their natural communication styles. We actually call them communication superpowers. So what we know is that if a person understands their natural communication superpower style, there's 4 areas, then they can have a good understanding of how they communicate and how they want to be communicated to. It's also their learning style. So once they have a good understanding of that, and then we teach them about the other 3 quadrants that they all have a score in as well, but now they can understand how they would naturally show up in a conversation, whether it be a sales related conversation, personal situation, doesn't matter who you're talking to, right? You're communicating all the time. Now they understand themselves, and then they can apply what they've learned to be able to understand what quadrant everybody else falls into. And then they can tailor their communication to meet the other people where they're at. And so that's really just the crux of the program, is teaching their hardwired communication style and making sure they understand the styles of others, and then giving some tips about how to go about using that information in an applicable format, listen, ask, summarize, talking about assertive communication or passive communication. So we cover all of it.
What I like about your program is that it goes far beyond the Myers-Briggs,
Yes.
DISC, and
Yes.
all those other programs that are so popular out there right now,
Mhm.
because people are looking for the meat. They want to know, oh, it's nice that this person communicates this way. What's that got to do with a work setting? So
Yes.
people get excited about doing that, then all of a sudden they have to apply it. So
Yes.
tell me about the application of your program.
Yeah, so we use a tool called behavioral superpowers. And so every single person will take an exercise that will measure their hardwired behavioral style. Now, I'm glad you mentioned like a Myers-Briggs or, Colby and DISC. These are all great platforms, but they measure something different than us. A lot of times they're measuring personality. We're not measuring that because personality is great, but it can change over time. What we know about behavior is that it's ingrained in you at a very young age, how you communicate, how you learn, and those different things. So we measure that because we know that it isn't a one and done type of situation. It's how you're going to show up 91% of the time. So when someone takes that exercise, the data that comes from that, there's about 500 different data points that we measure. And we know over the last 30 years, validated and proven scientifically, that 91% of what comes out in your report is how you're going to show up most of the time over the long term. So organizations love this type of information because they know that they're getting, it's like you get what you get. It's right there in front of you. It doesn't change, and so then you can actually work with the person to see this is where they're at, but how do we help coach them if they want to go to the next level, which is really hard to do, but the person who wants to, we can help an organization do that. And we also know that we improve team performance, we improve overall productivity, which ultimately improves the bottom line of an organization. If we can show people who they are at their core, that way they can truly develop. Think about how much time and energy you put into training your team, but how much time and energy are you putting into helping them develop from their core? That's what we do, and that's why that's so completely different than many of the other platforms or training programs.
Well, I can see that there's real beef behind what you're doing. And I've talked to some of the people who have gone through your program, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about having you come and work with us at the Academy. So what would a half-day program look like if you were coming out?
Sure. Well, it would look like first, we would send everyone the link that they needed ahead of time so they could take the exercise. Again, that's an important component of it. And then, I would come in and take the time to do what we call an uncovering, where we would make sure everyone kind of had an understanding of their own style and where they fit within the grid. And then I just have a few modules that we would go through that would teach them about each one of them, not just their own, but each one of them, not only sharing with them what their powers are, we call them their superpowers. There superpowers in the communication, but everyone also has kryptonite that comes along with that power. So we talk about what works really well for them naturally, but usually that same thing that works well for them in the wrong application can derail them. So we help make sure that they understand that as well. We do exercises together. We put people together so that they get a chance to practice what they're learning, because again, application is everything. But what happens, so wild how it happens, is that right away people pick it up and they start noticing things that they noticed before, but they couldn't put their finger on. So it's actually very easy to absorb this information and start using it right away. So through interactivity, I like to give assignments, have people, I'm a teacher, so I like to give some application that they can actually use. But then by the end of the day, they're going to know themselves so much better. They're going to know their teammates much better. And then they're going to have something that they can leave with so that they can carry this on in all their email communications, the water cooler conversations, especially on Zoom, remotely. All of that matters when it comes to communication, but they will take what they learned outside of the workplace, because they're absolutely going to go home and start using this with their families and their friends and everyone else. Their eyes will be open to the power that they've now have access to once we teach them this information. It's pretty phenomenal to watch it happen.
Oh, give me an example of someone that's gone through this.
Oh my goodness. So one example, I had a woman who's a client and we were specifically doing communication, and she was in the wellness industry, and she was struggling with a particular client that she felt like they just weren't, like, she wasn't speaking his language. She felt like he would check out when she was trying to talk to him about his health goals and try to get him excited about, certain things. Well, after we went through the process, she realized that her main style of the 4 quadrants, there's goal setting, lifestyle, stability, and information. Okay. Goal setting, lifestyle, stability, and information. Her highest score is in the lifestyle quadrant, which means she's typically interested in what's going on, who's going to be there, is it going to be fun or not, right? Well, as she was talking to me, now we didn't know what his actual style was because he wasn't in the course, but as we're talking, it was her who said, wait a minute, I think he might be in the information quadrant. I said, tell me why. So she's giving me examples of things that he said and questions he would ask. And I agreed with her. I'm like, you know what? It's likely that could be his highest score. So if that's the case, here are some things I want you to go back and do with him, right? Here's some questions I want you to ask to get him talking and see what happens, right? And she did exactly that. And one of them, which is ask someone who's in information quadrant something they learned from a recent book they read. That's just one of the questions. So she did that. And she said when she did that, he lit up. And he's like, oh my God, I just read these 2 books and let me tell you all about them. And the conversation went differently. And then she was giving him more data and stats because that's what he really wanted. And once she did that, she said she came back to class and she says it was like a 180. So she was excited because she understood what he needed. And even though that's not how her brain processes information, it wasn't about her. It was about giving that person what they needed. And now they could talk because she was flexing to meet him where he was.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So why did you decide to work with the Academy?
Oh my gosh, because of you, Dr. Weiner. Because you're
Come
amazing.
on.
Yeah. I mean, for real. I have mad respect for you and what you do to help people and coach and teach and train them. And so any opportunity to work with you is obviously going to be a fantastic one. And when you told me about what you're doing with the Academy and who you were hoping to serve and the kind of people you were going to have be a part of the Academy as well, I was quite honored to even be considered for that, just to, rub elbows with the folks that you have, teaching these other programs, but to have the opportunity to learn from them and you through this process is a great honor. And of course, I love what I do. So I want to be able to help get that information out to the world. But, I mean, you're, world class. So the fact that you've got this amazing academy and my course gets to be one of the things offered, I'm honored to even be a part of it. So anything you're a part of, I want to hang out with you.
Well, I have to tell you, anyone that works with you is going to feel your energy, and you don't let people feel. That's one of the nice things about you. And
No room for that.
don't let people feel. And I am so happy that you've decided to be part of our academy.
Thank you.
You sign up, folks.
That's right.
For her. I guarantee it'll be a great one.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Weiner. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.